and it's reaching its
it
maximum
is. It's a
maximum
self-resonant
capacity. Making
it's a self-resonant effect is what it's actually
right.
going. So, and that's what you're trying to achieve with the gravifier. A self-resonant
in that Tesla coil, exactly, right there.
So,
Exact effect I need.
But you can't. Yeah, right. It's
well, you got to
it's like trying to.
and
It's like
get
trying
it
to tune
to
something
work.
you can't hear.
You got to be able to repeat it. Is the problem?
Excellent. Gerald, are you there? I don't know if he's there. Maybe we'll go to Ben.
Benefactor.
How you doing?
Maybe you want to get us up to speed
Can you hear
on
me?
what you're doing. And yep,
Yeah,
I
hear
hear
you.
you just fine.
Yeah. So I've been following in the footsteps of Daniel and Erica Nunez of First Stop Energies. And when I stumbled upon their work, I was astounded and captivated and kind of obsessed trying to find out, is this real? And I spent months just trying to determine how possible this is and if they were telling the truth. And I came to the conclusion there was a 90% chance they were. And so I spent better part of the last year trying to replicate some of their experiments with the rodent coil design they came up with, the PoE coil. And we've been getting really positive results, and it's really interesting. As you can see, this is kind of what it looks like. This isn't a usable one, just a visual demonstration. So in my research, just going over it real quick, because I don't want to take up too much time right now. I'll go over it more extensively later. But in my research, I found that there's a few mistakes that people make with the rodent coil design they came up with. And one of them is you have to have multiple windings. The second one is you have to have this interference pattern. You have to have the clockwise and counterclockwise. And then the third one is the most common mistake is you have to have tightly bundled wires. Your winds have to be tightly bundled together, because if they're spaced together or spaced apart, the magnetic fields aren't compressing on top of each other. They're not amplifying their power. So
exactly, Bob Grenier states goes through this in depth with the same effects with winding the bagel coils as well, and it's to get the unification in the symmetric field force generated throughout the solenoids.
Right, exactly. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, and we've been getting some over unity results. I'm not sure like how accurate my multimeters are. They're pretty good, but it's open to interpretation how much we're getting out, but it is obvious we're getting more out. Yeah, it's obvious we're getting more out than in. And I actually added an addition to the setup where I mimicked the output circuit with the exact same components. So we see how it reacts at the same time on the input side without the coil hooked up through the output of the stereo channel B. So it's a surround sound system. So you have channel A hooked up to the coil, left and right, and then channel B hooked up to the output circuit as a demonstration. So you can actually visually see.
Winding?
No. It's just a mimicking circuit, so you can see the input and the output at the same time with the same exact components. So you can see the input is, say,
your oscilloscope channels. Sorry, you're talking about your two channels on the oscilloscope channels, right? Channel A and B.
I mean, if I had an oscilloscope, no. I'm talking about my fan
channels.
The fan and the LEDs. Channels. The fan and the LEDs. So you can see the fan spinning.
Are you able to just quickly take your camera over to?
Yeah, I can show you real quick.
For sure, why not? Let's take a look at what you're talking. Visuals always help, and that is real science, showing the real experiments and tunings and tinkerings. And once you get a system, it's like you just change one little thing each time. Measure the difference. Oh, you're muted, Ben.
The PoE coil, is it
Benefactor,
is it two coils or
EMH.
one coil? Is it two windings
Oh,
or two? One
so
winding?
technically it's 2 coils because it's 2 channels. They're not
So
connected.
there's 4 ends. There's 4 ends.
Right. So as you can see, there's 1 input channel and 1 output channel. Channel
Gotcha.
A is red and black, and channel B is yellow and green, but they're not connected in series. So we have 12 wires each channel connected in series.
Parallel. Oh, geez.
No, in series.
12 wires. 12 wires. 12 individual strands connected in series.
Exactly, but each channel. So 24. I go over this in the if you look at my recent upload, there's a guide in the description that has a link in the video where Erica Nunez goes over this in more detail. But
Right.
it's this specific design has 12 12 wires per channel, and each channel is not connected. So channel A here is the input, and channel B, the yellow and the green, is the output. And it's just going to an output circuit with a
So
little
you have
fan
2
and
pairs
3
of
LEDs.
6. Or 4 pairs or 2 pairs?
2 pairs.
2 pairs of 6. Gotcha. All right. So that's 4 ends. 4 ends.
No. We have 4 leads total.
4 leads, right?
2
2
per-
pairs of 6. 2 pairs
Right.
is 4.
Right. So, but
So
the
that's
important
two
thing
inputs.
is
2 inputs. Gotcha.
right. But because you can have as many channels as you want, honestly, as long
Yeah.
as you have 2 channels.
You can have 1 channel.
That's
or 2. Gotcha.
right.
Right.
Well, you can have 1 channel too, but it supposedly it's not going to produce the same effects or some of the
Right.
same effects. But who knows? 3 channels could, I think, produce some unique effects if you have 2 positive and 1 negative. 2 the same and 1 phase shifted.
Mm.
So, but the addition to my setup here, you have the fan and the 3 LEDs with the rectifier and the capacitor. So it splits off AC DC, so you can see how it's reacting to with both on a load. And then I mimic that on the input side, so it's the exact same components. So you can see on the input how much power is coming out visually. So I'll give you a demonstration of that.
How much power is going in, you mean?
Right, exactly. And this is not hooked up to the coil. This is just hooked up to channel B on the stereo output. So
Jeez.
this is not hooked up to this.
Yeah. Schematics are very helpful. They really do. I got to check out that link with the schematic.
It's just a simple rectifier circuit, but the connections and how to hook up and wind the coil is the most important part. And that's all in the guide, yeah. So
I mean,
that'll
you're
give you
sending
a good,
power into one pair and drawing off the other?
exactly. It's an inductance of some kind.
All right, it's like a primary and a secondary. Yeah.
Right, exactly,
Or-
but a 1-to-1 ratio if I have it right.
Right.
But who knows? It might not. It might be asymmetrical. Some of it.
1-to-1,
I don't
right.
know.
Nah, it's 1-to-1.
That's
But-
awesome either way.
Exactly. Like the results are kind of undeniable. You can see the input power and the output power. Same exact fans, 3 to 6 volt powered fans. This fan is barely spinning while this one's going like max RPM.
Oh, keep in mind
And-
when you're charging the primary to draw off the secondary, in the center of that coil, you can also rotate the shaft with a magnet and generate power as well at the same time.
Oh, really? I thought you just had to do the low end frequency.
That's the
So
whole
you-
point.
Right. So
That's the whole point of this type of coil. If I were to,
right, to drive a magnetic motor, but I thought you could only do that at the low end. I haven't really experimented with the magnetic motor
well,
yet.
you send power into the primary, load the secondary, as you have it now, and you have and that if you get the magnet right inside the center to spin,
Mhm.
it'll spin while
Yeah,
you're
'cause you see
sending-
how
while you're loading the secondary. So
you see how fast it'll spin that neodymium sphere, and when you look at the input voltage, it's extremely low.
right, right. It's low voltage.
But also I have a new multimeter. It's the same one, but it's a little bit higher rated. It's 600 milliamp rated. It's got a brand new fuse. It's working now, so we can read the current on the input and output as well. So I can demonstrate to you.
Definitely key pieces of equipment needed.
Right, exactly. That was kind of devastating when I blew the fuse.
Right.
But I'm kind of new to this. I'm still learning.
I mean, Ben, if
Yeah.
you put a shaft right on top of that coil over the center with a magnet north and south over it, it will spin while you're loading the
Oh, I like
secondary.
that.
And
Well,
then, you can
multimeters-
tie that shaft to another alternator and,
Yeah. Multimeters can be very sensitive sometimes, depending on the brand, depending on different brands. So it's very, you gotta be aware
Yeah,
of that.
I've blown up many multimeters. Trust me, I learned the hard way.
But you're doing good for experimentation if you say you don't do that often, because it's not that easy.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to monitor it now and trying not to overload the system. I got it calculated so it can't go above 27 on the gain, or else it will blow the fuse if I'm reading it on the output. Even with the new meter, it's 600, like it goes above 600 milliamp in the output. But
that's your bench power supply doing that, though. That's like those real sensitive fuse on them.
come
Those
again?
bench power supplies, they have a real sensitive fuse on them. It wouldn't be, like a real car battery. It'd be better for you than have to deal with that fuse going off all the time. Although, keep you from burning out transistors and things like that. Having that
So I'm
bench
not
power
actually
supply,
I'm not actually operating
protect
off
your
of the
equipment.
workbench power supply. I'm operating off the stereo amp, and that's just
Oh,
plugged
what's
into the AC.
powering you're powering it with a stereo amp. I thought you were using.
Yeah,
a
so
12
the stereo amp kind of is kind of like a cool hack for somebody who doesn't have expensive
the stereo
you
amp,
know, funds.
the fuse on the stereo amp is going out, or
No, the fuse on the multimeter. But
Oh.
it's just a cheap hack that you can input a tone and output a small amount of power at the same time.
And then can you also alternate just the acoustic tone going through and going in?
Yeah. So any kind of input. So right now I have a phone app hooked up to the stereo, but I just got a cable for my laptop that I can also, experiment with as well. So you can, input different tones, and not only that, like music and maybe multiple frequencies and see what happens.
Yes, that is exactly what I need to do as my next step into my electrolysis experiments, into the anodes and cathodes, and I've been wanting to start doing that for a while.
Yeah, maybe Bernie, we're gonna get to Gerald because I know Gerald usually has to ship
Absolutely.
out soon. So Gerald, if you want to show your stuff there that you had your coil from last week.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, the floor is yours.
Loud and clear, brother.
Or is mine? I'm gonna be rich. Just kidding. Okay, so what I have here is the coil you seen last week, except I now have 12 pickup coils on the outside, and each one of them has a red LED, but not all of them, the LEDs, not all of them are hooked up to the DC. Some of them are hooked up to the AC side. There's 3 here. One's hooked up to the AC side, one's hooked up to the DC side. Technically, they all shouldn't light, but let's see, right? So what I got going in here is 12 volts through the primary. It's a 2.5 volt or 2.5 amp, 12 volt wall plug. This is the watt meter. The frequency is 33,000 hertz square wave with let's see, the duty cycle is 6%. So I'm going to just turn it on to show you that I'm pushing the charge outside of the coil itself. And I'm going to pick it up with all these coils here. And I don't know if you can see that because I'm not sure if my camera can pick it up. Can you see all the lights on?
Sorry.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, we can see
Yeah.
them.
And this here is an LED cube that I've got partially on, and that's running on the back EMF. But if you look at the wattage, I'm using 0.01 of an amp to run all those LEDs. And this here, this one panel takes 94 volts to light and 1 amp. But yet I'm lighting that, half of that, all these. Oh, and this here takes 3.5 volts to light. Not a big deal. But let's put this in and turn it on. Of course, the wire fell off.
Well, there it goes.
So it's just another pickup coil from the center. But as I put that in, you would think that I would draw more. But it hasn't changed. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm not going to get too in depth as to how this is working. I'm doing a presentation on APEC, and I will get way in depth as to how it works, what I've done, and the type of thing it takes, I believe, to get a whole lot more power out than this. When I'm showing you now, it's a pittance. I will be turning on a 900 watt heating element, as well as levitating a magnet in the center here stably
That'd be cool.
at APEC. So this is just a little bit of me. I just wanted to show you that I'm pushing charge outside of the coil. And in fact, I can push it right to the edge of my room, 10 feet, 15 feet, give or take. But it's something that we'll get into in depth in the future. So thanks for your time, guys. This is me.
Yeah, that's really
Wow.
cool. Yeah, I think
Awesome.
you're creating almost like a plasma field. You're exciting all the electrons in the space in the room because
I
you're
think you're
running
right.
at such a high frequency where
100% he's getting it.
like a plasma ball. It's using plasma to create that exciting of the electrons or the energy in the free space around the device. So I think you're doing the same thing, but just in a
Right.
different method.
Ionizing
then-
the air and then using the geometry to implode at a micro level, right?
And it's not wired conventionally. Like I said before, I'm running a negative bias circuit. I'm running a NPN in order to do this. The other, I've tried a PNP. It doesn't seem to work quite the same way. So maybe, I guess I could put it like this. There's a bunch of instabilities that electrical engineers purposefully go out of their way to cancel out in circuits and in devices. Those instabilities are what I've used to make this work. And like I said, I'll get into, the depths of it, like the dichotron instability, the proximity effect, parasitic capacitance. It all comes into play. This wouldn't work with just one thing. It needs them all. There's 7 different instabilities that go into making this work. So just a short little,
Have you experimented?
tidbit. It's me, I guess you'd say.
Have you experimented
guys.
on putting a different organic object
you.
In the field, the frequency field, and see if they get, like, for example, if you put a plant, would it grow faster in that energy field?
Yes, it does.
It's interesting because Daniel and
100%.
Erica Nunez had the same effect with their magnetic experiments.
right? Where they
Yeah.
were actually to the point of growing celery in the dark and it like sprouting always to the center of the coils, even when they
Right.
were like feet away from it.
Yeah,
Well,
plants do grow faster.
I've said it in previous lives. This will actually, when you ground it out and the ground is wound within the soil of the plant, you're going to increase your output of that plant by double and cut its time in half to maybe 1/3 of its original time of growth. I've seen it. I've done it many times. I've got notes on it. It's just something that I need to prove on video. The problem is it takes a long time because you're looking over a month of growth period rather than 3 months. You're still looking at a month, but
Getting
it's kinda
4
hard to know.
times as
Right.
many grow cycles in a year. Like that's 4 times as much food for everyone. No one needs to starve with this technology.
Basically. And this isn't the only one that's out there that can do this. There's many different devices out there that can do that very same fact. This just happens to be one of them. Is it a big boast? Sure it is. But I can prove it, and I will in the future. I just have to figure out how to do it on film or on camera over that period of time. Maybe a
But
time lapse camera.
just a heads up that there's already videos out there with magnets and plants that are fast forward. So just
Yeah,
search
they're using the South Pole field in order to grow
yeah.
food exponentially. And that's funny you say that because I can split the field where this is the south and the bottom is the north, or I can flip a switch and the bottom would be
I'll be right
south and the top is north. It really doesn't make a difference. This coil's kind of there's a lot of anomalies that I'd like to go over with somebody who's serious about pulling it apart and seeing how it all works when it's said and done.
Right, because I've
So,
watched
this is me.
I've watched your little demo. Your videos are very short, but they're showing extremely anomalous effects, just proof of demos for those that understand what's on your channel and what you've been doing. And absolutely, Gerald, we need to do Year of the Coil, experimenting on these different effects, because it's also
Well,
a key part
Bernie,
of
it's
Yes,
funny you
this
bring
has
that
the
up.
most practical applications, I believe.
Well, it's a means to an end. All those little tidbits that you see on my channel are all leading up to the APEC presentation where I'll unveil a lot of the different anomalies and things that I've seen this do. And then maybe we can get some peer review going on and take it from there. So, yeah.
Will you maybe throw what?
And while you guys got me
little
on the
spin tonight?
limelight, while you got me on the limelight, I got to say, Nathan, amazing work. I've followed everything you've done, watched every video. Dude, you're almost there. I'm telling you. Me and you should talk about something off screen that I think might help you, but that's a whole other story. Amazing work. Just had to say that.
That'd be really cool. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to get off screen here. Thanks for your time, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
excellent.
you
Yeah,
for
thank
Right
you
on.
for your presentation.
Looks like we got
Phil,
Tim on.
before you fall asleep, and we're sorry for, and Tim will be right back. But yes, Phil, please do give us your piece. Sorry for making you wait so long, brother.
Yeah, so as everybody knows, I'm gonna show again for people who I never presented my experiments before. I'm just gonna show them again. Sorry for those who already saw them like 2 or 3 times, but it's very important. And it's about anti-gravity, and I'm gonna end the little presentation with nuclear energy, but it's kind of I hesitate to show the equations, but I'm gonna show the graph. So here we go. Window. Entire screen. There you go. All right. So I'm just gonna, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is my paper I started writing 14 years ago. I'm not gonna go in details about it, but I can say that it's basically I'm explaining everything, the whole universe, based on time dilation and gravity and time dilation, and I'm saying the energy potential induces gravity and time dilation and temperature. So the energy can be any form of gravito-electromagnetic or electromagnetic or a combination like light beam. I'm gonna show also experiments to prove that what I'm saying is right. It's already tested, so it's not professional testing, but I mean it's a start. It's a home do it yourself home experiments, and basically here just the big picture. Um, Here that's there's a absolute gravito-magnetic permeability, a relative one as well. People forget about that. That's around this value. For those who know, I know my Dr. Boyd is gone, but he would have understand that very easily. But the relative gravito-magnetic permeability, that's what allows us to harness to generate an energy potential artificially, and we don't need astronomical amount of energy to do so. And we can harness it with home experiment. So that's what I'm saying. There's a relative gravito-magnetic permeability as well, and energy density limit. That's so. Also, I'm explaining the perihelion precession disparity, the light bending, the galactic rotation curve. Here I'm showing the momentum of accelerated particle. I'm saying if you consider like light to have an equivalent energy, then you can get the same result as as special relativity for the momentum and everything like that. So you don't need you don't need Einstein's special relativity to explain the momentum of light and things like that. So you can do so by considering light has an equivalent mass, and here the energy of accelerated particle, and the one thing I want to show. I don't want to go through oh yeah, the galactic rotation curve is pretty cool as well. Is The galactic rotation curve is right here. I'm able to explain 500 galaxies using my formula, which is very simple. It's this equation right here. It's you mix time dilation with the Newtonian orbit of planets, and you add a spinning framework. So it's very simple, it's very elegant, and you can explain 500 all the galaxy rotation curves. And last but not least, whoops, it's 3.2, huh? Yeah, 3.2. The speed of light is not constant, and I took the time to write it down in my updated paper. They did an experiment with the supernova GRB 090510 that exploded 7.3 billion years ago. They found a discrepancy of the speed of light of 2 seconds, and if I use the Shell-Mayer equation that is used to calculate the diffraction of light in solids and prisms. I used that equation on using the air medium or vacuum, which is very close, very similar. And I calculate the difference between between a light beam of high frequency and low frequency, then of that distance of 7.3 billion light years away, I measure 12 seconds difference. They observe 2 seconds difference, so it's very close. And so yeah, then again, the speed of light is not constant. And here I'm going to show the experiment to prove what I'm saying is right. These experiments are again for those who saw them already, but this is an interferometer here that shows I'm moving a magnet next to the laser, and you can see the laser being deflected by the magnet. So that basically shows that the energy density of the magnetic field affects the trajectory of light. And I have another experiment here to prove it, which is light
Bending
itself.
light with magnet.
Yeah, this is a Cavendish experiment done by Fell Forward Research, and yeah, so you can see the rod is attracted by light, even when light is still hot and is still emitting infrared lights. The energy density creates an acceleration, a force or an acceleration. So that's what gravity is. There's just an energy potential. And here my magnetohydrodynamics vortex of liquid gallium that I already showed multiple times, but I want to show it again to those who haven't seen it.
I need some gallium for electrolysis. A little liquid gallium, a little liquid mercury at some point.
Yeah, I can show you the store. I bought it. I think it was from Seattle, but I don't remember. But it's pretty cheap, and I have 2 liters of gallium. But gallium is safer than mercury, but mercury is less resistant to electric current, so it's more convenient for experiments. But if you drop it on, I dropped gallium all over my apartment, and it was a mess to clean up. So I can't imagine with mercury, But yeah, so again, I'm gonna show it. You can see the balance on the right is shifting when I get the current going on, and when the gallium is at solid state, there's no shifting. So that means the gallium is not moving, and it's not inducing a shift. So that was the experiment part. And last but not least, the electric force, the atomic force here. I wanted to I integrated my theory at the atomic scale, and here the x-axis is the distance from the center of an atom. The y-axis is the force in Newton. The positive y-axis is the repulsive force, and the negative y-axis is the attractive force. So you can see that if you have an electron coming towards an atom using Newtonian or finite theory, it's going to get attracted up to a certain level. And then the lowest peak, the red line, the lowest peak of the red line is the weak force, the weak atomic force. And the peak, the leftmost peak of the red line is the strong force, the strong nuclear force, which is a repulsive force. So the electron, when it gets too close to a proton, is going to get repelled. And I can explain it with my theory as well. And I'm not going to show the equations because I don't think it's a good idea, because the parameters can be changed and we can change the reactions here, and we can harness this type of energy, which is a nuclear energy. And I think there's gonna be it's kind of a some sort of nuclear reaction, an easy way to create a nuclear reaction. So yeah, so that's
Would you consider this a low energy nuclear reaction?
no, it's
Not a
as
low
powerful
energy
as you can imagine. You can use any atom as well, any type of atom. None, you don't need radioactive atom at all. So I'm not gonna get into the details, but I'm just saying that it's possible. So yeah, so that's what I want to share, and it's some form of type of 0 point energy here.
That's cool.
Your red laser light with the magnet. That space in between, would that be like a
C'est bon.
superposition
Yeah.
quantum, like particles or space?
Yeah, it's a beam of light that was deflected, so it's very small. It's a very accurate. I use an interferometer because it's very sensitive, and yeah. So I'm showing that just using a neodymium magnet is enough to deflect the laser beam at that scale.
I would recommend another experiment, seeing if there's a difference between a blue laser beam and a red laser beam with the magnets.
Yeah, good idea. That I heard green laser beams are dangerous though, so I'm not gonna get into those. But blue is yeah, I can try that. I still have my equipment here. Thanks.
Thank you, Phil.
So yeah, that's a form of energy. So if you don't hear about me in the next 2 weeks, then you know why.
We know the Five Eyes
We hope that
gotcha,
doesn't
and
happen.
You drank too much red wine.
Yeah, I'm
Go
gonna
off a
present
cliff.
the Five Eyes in the June 25th.
You tripped on a rock. I don't know.
We got
Yeah.
together. We remain. We are strong together. Like as long as we open source as much as we can. I know you have to keep certain components hidden because of safety concerns and all that. But
Yeah, we don't
keeping
want a
science-
mushroom party.
Right, exactly. But
Don't fall
generally
asleep at the
keeping
patent office.
Yeah.
generally keeping the science open source is key. You know, if you like in my condition,
absolutely.
Yeah, just
I
open
just
source
open
it,
sourced
man.
everything day one.
Yeah,
As soon as
that's
they
why
start promoting,
that's why I wanted to be recorded. So if something happens to me, then
Yeah, we know you made a mushroom party, and
We've got your
Open
last
source it,
proof of
don't
life.
FOMO.
We'll see you
FOMO,
back
open
here in a
source it.
few weeks for another proof of life, hopefully.
You can always live stream it at the same time. Call it, like media.
Please do live stream your meeting with
yeah,
the Five Eyes.
Phil's
so we can all
Phil's
see you
mushroom party.
You're gonna see me somewhere in Vegas, you know.
Only there's like this giant shaft in this elevator going down, and then all of a sudden Phil's surrounded by giant moving humanoid mushrooms or something.
No, but seriously, there was a guy in APEC. He's some Russian guy, and he's linked with the Russian Defense Department. So that's why I said, all right, I'm gonna stop sharing everything that type of equation. So
Yeah,
put a
that
stop
might be
there.
a good idea.
Yeah,
Give some people too many ideas.
exactly. So yeah, man. So enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Yeah, I think. We haven't heard from Tim. Did Tim drop off or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he
I don't
had
see
to
him.
go.
Yeah. Well, we've gone 2 hours. I don't know if
we
anybody wants to end anything.
Ben,
any
were you
last
gonna give a little
words
more
or?
demo, or-
Myke does always have something interesting to say at the end.
and something loaded. Mr. Mikey Dad. Uh-oh. If you're on headphones or something like that, maybe disconnect it, Myke, or your audio jack. We can't hear you.
You hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yes, now. No.
Okay. No? You don't
Yeah,
hear me?
for like the first seconds, just don't move whatsoever. Stay exactly where you
That's
are.
the Bluetooth, huh? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't move
Okay.
your head because it's the speaker wire.
My head's full of salt. Controlling it with a double throw relay, so the poles on the coil flips every time you switch. You get positive here and a negative on this end of the.
Yeah, your audio is all scrambled.
Oh no! How about now? No. That's, get out of here! Go, stop it!
Probably Phil's doing nuclear experiments in the background, throwing off his
Oh
headphones.
my god.
Hold on.
You got GoFundMe just for his mic, man. That's bad.
I don't know. That's the Bluetooth. Can you hear it or what? I don't know. Seems to be working. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay. So, and then the next time around, instead of a positive here, it'll be a negative, and then the positive will be on the other end. And the 4 poles coming out of the core here, this is the core right here, this part, will flip also. You'll have a north on the first time around and a south on the first time around, and then the second time around you'll have a south and a north, and the same thing will happen on this end. And but if you look here, this is the drive portion where the magnets that are on the rotor, it's a north and south alignment. That's when this is where the south lines up over here, and the north rotor magnet lines up over here, and you have a north rotor magnet lining up over here. And when you energize the coil, you'll have the associated poles generated in the cores, right? To then push all these poles at the same time. And when it moves 45 degrees, the 2 magnet poles, north and south, land over the arms of the coil. If you have a coil around the rotor, a stator pickup coil. And when the north, you guys can hear me, right? Just checking.
We can hear you.
Okay. So when the north lands over the arm of this coil here, it gets rectified through this diode here to the positive. And the south goes out the other end here through the other coil, because you have a south here also.
Would you say that you're shaping the magnetic field to be compressed in the center? Is that what it looks like?
Well, when you pass a north and a south over the arms of a coil, you get alternating current. AC.
Right.
So you have to rectify it to DC into a battery. And the north is coming out the diode that's facing the positive, and the south is going in the diode that's facing away from the negative. So it's dually rectified here. You have 2 rectification paths, because the next pass is here.
It's just based on the diagram. It looks like you're manipulating the geometry of the fields, and it seems like a pattern.
You see how you got a north here now?
Right.
And the next
just seems like
pass,
a
it's a
pattern,
south.
you know?
You see it's a south now? It's as it rotates, you know, this is a rotor with 4 magnets on it, facing outward on the circumference of the rotor. And you have coils around the circumference of the rotor where the arms are, you know, facing the 2 poles, 90 degrees.
So how you timing the circuit?
Here's the
Fire.
drive portion. If you could faintly see the stator coil here. It's been opacity removed it just so that you can see the drive magnet hitting the drive coil at that time when it's positioned there. So this is where it's being driven, right? And power's not being collected in the stator right now until you drive it towards the stator, which is right here, you know. Let me get this right. So it's here to here. So the north magnet is right now here. You're driving it to the clockwise to the stator arm, you see? Okay, and that's all done with the double pole, double throw relay. You have a plus and a minus on one pulse, and the second pulse is a minus and a plus. And you need to do that to get this system to work, because if you look at where the north is now, now it's a south, you see? Or better yet, let me rephrase it this way. If you look where the south is now, and it turns, now you have a north there, you see? So you need to invert the drive coil each 90 degrees. Every 90 degrees, you need to, you flip the polarity of the coil. The double pole, double throw relay does that for you. And then when it hits the stator arms right here, I did that right, hold on. Right there, and the north lands over the stator arm, south lands over the other arm. Then it's going to rectify, you know, out this way. The north is going to go this way, and the south is going to go the other way, you know, with the other south to here. This north is going to go this way. In case you're wondering, that's what I think is going on. But anyway, you need dual rectification because of the way the north and south flips over the arms of the coil. So you can do that just simply like here, you see it here. That's no problem, in my opinion, to do it that way. That's just you know, I'm a labless technician right now, so I jot all my stuff in a photo editor.
We understand.
Well, how much loss do you have in your system?
Well, here's the thing I wanted to throw at you guys. You see the magnet, right? This is iron. Okay. So this magnet is, when it's in this position over the floor, of course it's being driven and pushed. All 4 of the magnets are, because you got this coil in series. So when it's pulsed, it's you know, it's running all 4 poles of the cores. So when it's here, you know, the core material is locked onto the magnet, right? You have to break that connection with the pulse and you press it to the right. When you do that, and it ends up in this position at right here, you know, in the middle. And the magnet is facing this iron right here, right? So you might have some drag like that, you know. So what I was thinking is, instead of having the core shaped like this, it's not exactly a circle shape, so you can make it more of a circle. You know, that way, when this magnet is here, and it's being pushed along, it's going to break connection to the core very smoothly. And then as it gets to this point, past this point, and starts to head here, this magnet will start pulling to this steel stronger and stronger, like the V-gate system. And it'll aid in this motor's locomotion, you know, through full force to this core material, as well as the core on this part of the core heading this way. So yeah, that's just a change I'm going to make to this core dimension on this thing.
And you have no
But I've already
capacitors in
gotten
the
the double
system?
pole, double throw to work, so I know it works. It does drive a motor perfectly by flipping the polarity of the coil, and you can keep pushing these magnets as they're changing polarity over the cores, the rotor magnets. I'll go back here. Look, you see there. So now you got a south, north over that portion of this coil, and same thing here. And as soon as it turns, you know, you have a south right here, south now. It keeps changing every 90 degrees. So you have to flip the polarity on your drive coil in order to flip the polarity on all four of these poles. Keep driving this thing along, and
So
having cores. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, in essence, you're basically created an AC motor using a DC circuit.
The AC
You're
generator.
mimicking. Yeah, because you're flipping poles from side to side, creating
It's
that
an AC
that
rotation. It's a DC pulse
It's
motor.
a pulse DC.
It's acting
Yeah.
like an AC pulse DC.
Right.
It's a inverted DC. I don't know. Each pulse is inverted, so it's an inverted DC pulse motor. Is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
It's not your standard,
So you're
plus
gonna
and minus every time.
So you're gonna try to build this, right?
Oh yeah, that's my next stop. Yeah, so you could rotate a north-south magnet on the shaft. You don't have to use, this setup, but with a double pole, double throw. See, I think Newman, when he was pulsing his motor, he didn't have a core, right?
Yeah,
So,
he didn't need a core.
But unless he was flipping the polarity of his drive coil, he had to have let it free spun for 180 degrees.
Yeah, well, he had a mechanical stator though, right?
Maybe he made a commutator to flip the polarity.
Yeah. Well, that's what he did. He had a mechanical.
Yeah.
Well, that's totally awesome. I hope he did that. I don't know.
That's how he was. Yeah, that's how he's getting his effects. He was a mechanical.
That's the best way, in my opinion, because you don't lose. You're not letting it free spin on 180 degrees. It's doing nothing. It's actually what it's doing. If you have a core, it's slowing down. That's why he didn't have a core. He had no.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you look at one of his last videos of the big Eureka, he called it, you could see the actual commutator that he was using, and you'll see a little.
I want to show one last thing, Myke, real quick. I'll bring it up.
Yep.
He also used the weight, but he also used the weight of his system in the spin, like it complemented.
The inertia buildup. Yep.
I still don't understand how do you divert from the loss of energy to heat in your coils and not have a capacitor in the system? I understand the rotation. It's the loss that you're not accounting for is what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, you got to be able to channel that back EMF that's generated in the cores and
the
capture
coil
that.
Is going to heat up.
If you pulse it correctly, with I use a disruptive discharge switch, it's high speed. My coil actually never ever heats up, and I could put quite a load on it. It's the actual make and break, that physical break, is what gives you the cold electricity for one. Number two, there's no hysteresis that takes place in the core, so you get best of both worlds with it, and that's how awesome. Newman's motor worked. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And that's how my Renegade device works too, on the same principle. And another great effect is when you're doing a disruptive discharge like that, it doesn't allow the ion flow from plate to plate inside the battery. So what you get is a current-free potential. And I'm able to run my Renegade device on dead batteries. So
pretty impressive.
Here, I wanted to point out, guys, before you guys continue, you see how The blue magnet, the north magnet, is passing over the right arm of all the coils. It's always the blue magnet. And there's only one pair of magnets passing over one coil. The orange circles is the coil. There's only one pair of magnets passing over one coil at a time. And every time you see that, you're going to see that the blue magnet is on the right arm and the red is on the left arm. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I got it wrong. The blue is on the left arm and the red is on the right arm.
But it's slightly lopsided.
That's the video editing I messed up there. But you see how the blue magnet lands over on the left, on all the left arms of the coils?
Yeah.
One at a time. That's the three pulses, the three phase, right? We see the previous circuit I just showed you. It doesn't do that. The blue lands over the left arm, and then the blue lands over the right arm each pass. That's why you need the dual rectification. This is a standard three-phase generator, so you only need to rectify one way, one diode. You see? I just wanted to point that out. That's the difference between, they're both AC generators. But
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
different.
It'd be interesting to see how that shows up on the scope. If there's a
Yeah,
slight
I was
phase
thinking
shift.
about that, Mike. Yeah, well, how would that
Yeah.
look? You know?
Yeah, how it's going to look, and if there's a slight phase shift or what do you call power factor change.
Either way, I know just looking at it, if you have it rectified in both directions, there's no reason why it wouldn't dump into the battery.
Is it the energy exchange would be the opposite of the rotation where the round magnets are, or the round coils? Sorry,
Those three coils are tied together in series, so there's only two ends at the end of it.
Yeah.
Two wires. So only one coil is receiving over the arms of that coil a north and south pass, and each time the north is going over the same arm. It's not going over a different arm as in my design.
Yeah, the only thing I'm kind of worried about that setup is if it gets energized and you got the two opposite poles going over the same coil.
Look at it closer, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm already worried about that. Look closer.
Yeah,
I know where you're going.
The cogging,
rectifier, right?
well,
It's a
no, the
rectifier?
cogging. Well, it could have some cogging.
No cogging because you're rectifying in both ways. That's what I'm telling you. I've already thought about that. You're going to have cogging if you don't rectify in both directions, because
Right.
you're not going to dump any power in one pass that's inverted. You're just going to let it fill up the coils and break your system. But
I
I
got a
have it
question
duly
for you.
rectified for that reason. I have it rectified in both directions.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to build that configuration. I'd love to see how the waveform is on that.
I didn't think about that dual rectification thing until I drew it out. I didn't even see that one coming. Actually,
Yeah.
I did
I
notice.
have
what
a
you
question on the
noticed.
coil winding. When you wind it to the right or left, you get a north or a south. Did you take that into account on this?
Old man, I gotta tell you, the double pole, double throw relay flips the polarity of the coil. No matter which direction it's wound, it's still flipping the polarity of the coil. The north is going to the other side.
So it bypasses
I don't know how to
that
answer that.
altogether. Yeah,
Huh?
okay. I'm just asking.
I mean, I've seen it over and over again. You do it with a car battery. You flip the wires around. You see your north is on the other end now. How is the right hand rule? It's not taking effect. I'm not seeing it happening. The right hand rule. I mean, you're supposed to get the north always on the side that your thumb is pointing. Your right thumb. That's the rule. But you wind it that way and flip the polarity of that coil wound that way, and your north is going to go to the other side when you give it the reverse charge from your battery. It's just you can see it in plain sight.
Yep.
It's a
good.
weird one.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to that rule I'm missing.
Well, definitely a really good show
Discovered
today.
an anomaly.
It must mean that rule must apply that you're giving the plus on one end and minus on the other, something like that. And you're not flipping the terminals on your coil.
Yep, very cool. Well, Bernie, I think we've gone over 2 hours tonight. I think we'll call it quits. I think our panel's getting tired. It's getting late.
Yeah, a couple last things we got. Yeah, go, Joe.
Hey, before you call it quits, I got a question for you. Did you see my Thane Hein replica video?
No.
Can you post the link?
No.
Can we load
I
it up?
put it out this afternoon.
Well, let's load it and watch
Did you want me to show it?
Yeah. Let's see that.
Okay, so what? I gotta just hit.
Yeah, I didn't get that notification, and I'm billed to your channel.
Yeah, I'm subscribed with both my
Really? That's
channels.
wild.
I told you this before. I'm not,
anything.
and I even signed up to your new channel that you created. I'm not getting notified to that one either. This afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens that way.
Ultra shadow band evidence again.
So, yeah, they
Hey,
love
can you guys
shadow
leave a link in
banning
the
me.
description for his channel? Because I'd like to subscribe to it.
You got shadow ban again.
Yes, please.
I'm always shadow banned. Are you kidding?
Who knows?
I was
Probably all
watching
shadow
on
banned.
my
Even me.
I was watching my notifications on my emails saying how people are subscribing to me, but my numbers aren't going up. And then I'm watching my video views literally in real time go down. It's crazy. I
Yeah,
laugh,
I've got
whatever.
pictures with timestamps, like literally hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures, screenshots of all of
me
that.
too.
Now
It's like you got a lead anchor on your leg.
Hey, I guess when you're over the target, they don't like you. I don't know. I don't know what to say on that one. So, are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just gonna play the video out. It's only 1:54. You guys should be able to hear it.
Always short and sweet. WPG Enlighten for Truth.
That's another one I want to do is this bitoroidal transformer.
Myke, you gotta let the video. Do you want to restart it, Gerald? It's pretty light sound.
It's a 1-inch coil.
Sure.
Check this out.
Turn it up.
This is my version of the Thane Hein system. See that right there? That's my little vortex coil. I'm at max. It's a 1-inch coil. And as you can see, I have a pickup coil here. I have one over here. This pickup coil, this meter, this pickup coil, this meter. And that pickup coil is that meter. We have nothing for milligauss in the background. That's our watt meter at the current time. And that is our frequency and our duty cycle on a square wave. So watch this, everybody. I'm going to turn this on. Watch these meters. Oh, what I'm using for power output, 12-volt wall plug, 2.5 amps. But it ain't using that. So check this out. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Gerald, can you mute your mic and it'll get rid of the echo?
34. 30.9. That's our milligauss. Still at 0 watts. And that's our frequency. Thane Hein figured something out, that's for sure. Next, what we're going to see is, I know it's been a while since I've posted videos, but the future is coming.
How do you get more volts without watts?
Yeah, so that's a little,
convert amps to watts.
Little quick video. That's that 1-inch coil that I brought up before, and it's literally based on sacred geometry, and it's like 21 feet in either direction by filer, and that's it. And it's running what you see. But we have to throw a load on it and see what I'm going to pull out of it, and see what the efficiency is from there. But so far, it does look promising. I mean, there's nothing on there for a vortex coil producing 30 volts and higher. So it's an interesting experiment.
You're feeding it 12 and you're getting 30, but you're not using any more amps to do that. That's interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting
That's
30
pretty-
times
Yeah.
3.
That's pretty
That
awesome.
seems to be the trend with vortex coils, huh?
If you can drop your volts on that coil on the other end,
Yeah, vortex coils are amazing. I built over 175 separate coils, and not all of them worked, but I mean, I've showed that I've had maybe 45 on video. So
Right.
I want to show the rest, but I had to throw out a few because, I mean, not
So
all
for
of them
people
work.
who don't know, vortex coils have many different designs, especially vortex math. They're fractals, so at different scales, it can look like different different patterns. So that's why you have different designs for the rodent coil.
Yeah, I've made rodent coils. I've made the PoE. I've made Starship coils. I've made what's it called? The Holy Cup coil. I've made. I could show you pictures. I got into it heavily for a few years, and then this one came about. There's a story to it we won't get into, but yeah, just craziness now. And once you find that geometry, wow, the things you could do is insane. So
Yeah, it's really incredible.
It's breakthrough.
yeah, when I do my
science.
APEC presentation, I'm gonna elaborate a lot more as to how it's done and how it works. There's more science to it, but I like to keep it simple. I like to keep it into layman's terms. Like I said, I'm a backyard wrench guy. Like, you know what I mean? I
Gerald, when
love
you're
to
ready
build
to wire it up,
things.
put it, I can make a schematic for you if you want.
Well, you want to hear a funny story? That big coil that you see that I
I'm doing my
had
best.
all the
Doing my best.
equipment
Try to draw
coils
it
on.
out for you.
Well, check this out. You want to talk shadow band? My first channel was called The Wisdom Walker. I put out a 7 video tutorial. Each video was an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour long, and it taught you how to make that coil in detail. There was a camera above it, and it showed me winding it. Then my channel got taken down. A week later, it got put back up. The 7 video tutorial was gone, and there's only one video on it, and I can't access
This was on
the
YouTube.
channel itself. Yep, it's on YouTube. You can
So
still see
what
my
happened? You just
original.
woke up one day and you didn't have access to it, or the videos were deleted?
Yeah, well, no, I was locked out from it, and I couldn't get into it for a whole week. And at the end of the week, I could watch my video, but the other 7 were gone. They weren't even on the channel, which
Did
didn't
they
make
give
sense.
you a reason or?
Nope, nothing
Yeah.
at all. And I asked, and they said we don't understand how that worked. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I had something that they wanted to see, and they didn't want the rest of the world to see it. I'm not sure.
I think
Yeah.
when they transferred your ID on YouTube to another server, that conversion, sometimes the videos that you use different parameters, if they don't have it on the new server, a lot of things will drop out.
Oh no! His were like
Maybe, but
extremely short, small, and like I witnessed of everything. Both me and Jeremiah witnessed everything Gerald's talking about happening or happened to him in real time when we first connected to him, and it's ridiculous. His channel was by far the most shadow banned I've ever seen it happen to. He'd post videos, and when you load, you can't search his name. You'd have to like enter it in by hashtag just to get there. It won't let you find it. Then once you get there on the landing page, it says no videos. It won't show you any videos whatsoever. And then you have to like dig through, and then it gives you that one that it's all that's up. It's crazy.
Start using VPNs and change your name, Gerald.
I did that. You know what? It's funny. I can't even get emails back for Twitter, for Instagram, anything. I'm locked out from all social media. I can't get Discord.
Wow.
Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely insane. My
Wow.
first channel was hacked, and along with my first channel, my Facebook was hacked. So I haven't had Facebook in 3 years, and they just closed it because there's been no activity. And my first channel, it's still up, but I can't access it. So I mean, maybe I'm doing something right, maybe I'm not. I have no idea. I just I keep showing what I see, and that's it. What can I do, you know?
And you created like
The more people we have recreating these things as possible is the better, you know, because they can, you know, snuff one channel out, but they can't snuff like 100 channels at the same time, and then those channels are spreading the information to other people. You know, we need to build a network of people who are trying to recreate these devices, and it can't be closed off, or it has to be all open source or as much as possible, and that's the way we bypass that suppression, you know.
I think that might be part of my problem. I'm not a guy that's searching after money. I'm not searching after contracts or fame.
Right.
I just want to get it out, because you know what? I'm like one of those old school guys. It's like this. If my neighbors both have a snowblower, nobody's going to lose their snowblower to the neighborhood because everybody's got one. So if everybody's
that's a
got
good
an
point.
energy generator,
And
nobody's going to go around trying to steal them, or you know what I
that's
mean?
the same philosophy that I subscribe to.
Abundance.
The same philosophy I subscribe to. You know, like I'm not interested in making money off of anything. I just want to study it and open source the science so other people understand the science behind it. Because if it's not being taught, then, and it's just being kept secret for intellectual property, that's not only doing a detriment to society, that's criminal. You know, that's not only unethical,
Absolutely.
that's criminal. And
Well,
that's holding us back.
the way I see it, I mean, I'm not too old, but I'm getting there. The best time I could ever have with this whole free energy system thing, I'm not even sure if it's free energy. I wouldn't even call it that. I call it really,
Yeah,
really efficient.
It's
You know what I mean?
just borrowed energy from the
Just
vacuum.
getting together with a group of like-minded people, smashing this out to make it work for everyone on a regular. That's my goal, man. That's just the cat's ass, if you ask me.
If you have a few minutes for me to demo the system, I'd like to.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you
absolutely.
have time.
Yeah, let's end it with the demo for
Do it
sure.
up.
All right.
We always encourage real live science. Can't stop the progress.
Yes, oh yeah.
See if that's a good angle, so you can see both of the fans and the multimeters. I'm going to demonstrate the system outside of its resonance range and inside of its resonance range, and we'll see the difference between the powers and the input and the output. All right, so we're inputting 20 hertz square wave right now. You can't, but I know the camera is really weak. You can't really barely see it, but we got just a blinking light, just tiny bits of blinking lights. This one is obviously blinking a lot brighter on the input, like it should be. Put the multimeters on real quick for you. All right, we got 1.7 AC volts. And you can see it's registering the correct hertz, 20 hertz. All right, and we got 0.42 on the output. Loss, like like we should see, right? Now check this out. When I change the frequency to the range, because it's a range that you can tune into. It's you know, like not, you know, you're tuning up you're increasing the hertz, and then all of a sudden you hit it. No, it's kind of like subtle almost. But you increase to 1,000 hertz, and you can see, look at this. 3.5, and I'll show you the current as well, because I can measure that now. This is spinning. This is not. We'll increase this a little bit. So this one has the capacity to work. It's the same exact components, same exact circuit, same 3 LEDs with a 2 ohm resistor, same 3 to 6 volt rated DC fan that comes with Arduino. Same exact on the input and the output. And we can kind of see, as I turn down the gain a little bit, because remember, it doesn't matter how much power we have driving the system. As long as we're in resonance, the geometry will take care of the rest. And I'll show you the current real quick. Okay, so we have 0.179 on the input amps. This one has a blown fuse, so I can't use that one for measuring current. .438 on the output. Can you see that? Turn it off.
There you go.
Yeah.
There. 0.435. Well, what it's fluctuating a little bit, but 0.45 on the output amps. And we've seen the increase in voltage. Should I show you the input again? Because it looks like the backlight was interfering with your ability to see the actual number. .17 amps on the input. So the multimeters are clearly registering an increase on the output.
That's really
Like
awesome.
I said, how much is debatable, but it is working as expected. And really, it's just about the resonance combined with the geometry. And what I think what we're doing is, because when you think about magnets, I like to think about them as inflow and outflow. And when you create a monopole, I think you pinch off the inflow, and the outflow of radiant energy has no way to convert back into the ether.
Did you try hooking an analog amp meter in line to ground on the drain?
No, what you see is so far is what I've done with the system. Phase 2 will be a little bit more advanced. What right now I do have a battery adapter, and if one of you can draw me up a circuit and how I can make this work with just a 9-volt battery and a tone generator instead of using the stereo, that would be like the next phase of testing.
Can you scale it up?
So yes, but like I said, the stereo is limiting our power. So it's only 5-volt rated, and I don't know what the milliamps, but it's not a lot, and it'll shut down. And you can see, like, when I turn it up too much, before it hits the maximum gain, obviously, because if it's outputting more and coming back, more than expected, it shuts down quite a bit before you hit the maximum volume level on the gain.
Hey Ben,
So
if you drop me an email, because I put my email in the private chat there, I've got a modified Bedini circuit that's pretty neat. Might work for you. So
Yeah,
drop
good,
me
cool.
an email
Make it
and I'll
sound-
draw it out for you, and I'll send it off to you.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I got a bunch of
But
I
Ben,
got like 2 or 3 Arduino kits with a bunch of
why
parts
don't you
I can
just send
whip up.
flyback into the coil instead of but you just
I'm sorry,
pulse
come
the
again?
coil, pulse the coil with DC. It's like a electromagnet.
Your mic is Myke.
Yeah,
mic
your
is
audio jack, Myke, it's so bad. It's like
Oh, no.
80% static. It's kills our souls. Welcome
But yeah,
back.
this is more of a proof of concept at the moment. But yeah, if we can apply this to something and take the test to next step and put it under a more bigger load, I'd like to see how it reacts under a proper load and see if it's actually usable for something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
How about now?
Then sounds a little better.
Ben, what I was
If
saying is
anybody, I've open sourced this. If anybody goes to my channel, beneficencetv.com, and I put that in the comments. My latest video has the guide to make this. So far, and it's updated with some of my theories and techniques and stuff, how to make the coil and what's worked for me. So if you go to my page and the latest video in the description, you'll find a link to the rodent coil guide that I whipped up. And again, it's a work in progress, but if you have any questions, you can also reach out to me about it, trying to replicate
check out a ZVS driver, zero volt switching driver.
that one. Yes. 0 point energy.
No, ZVS, 0 volt switching circuit. It'll create flyback for you at a low amps so you don't damage your coil.
Yeah, Nathan,
I want to take the safety precautions so I don't damage any of the components, and that's
Hey,
something
Ben.
that I'm
there's
not.
no amps. It's all high voltage. No amps. You can't harm it.
But I'm not knowledgeable enough right now at this time, and I need help making a circuit that's actually going to work and not damage anything.
Hey,
Well,
Nathan,
you can
want
buy a $10 frequency generator that'll do it for you. You can add any sound you want to from your amp into it, and it's only a 5-volt switch on it. So you can use your amplifier there, bring it into that little $10 module, and then you can also separate the power from it so it never overrides it. It's two little things on Amazon, $15, and you're done.
Yeah, if you could send me a link to one of those, I'll definitely order one and apply it to the setup.
Yeah, Ben, Nathan, Old Man Builds has a really good video on how to use a ZVS driver with high voltage. Go check out his channel. Yeah. He's got some really good tips for you on that.
It can't damage your coil. It's not with a ZVS.
So
driver.
yeah, so far as I know, the only way to damage the coil, and this is from Daniel Nunez's research, is if you hook them up together directly and they're both resonating. I think the resonance just is too much for the second coil. By the time the energy gets to it, it burns it out or so. It's kind of vague what he says, but it destroys the second coil.
Can you put the some sort of the circuit in parallel or series or whatever way to